I'm Kenneth Witt, and welcome to Gun Dog Nation. Gun Dog Nation is much more than a podcast. It's a movement to build a community of people around the world that like to watch a well-trained dog do what it's bred to do. Also, we want to get our youth involved into the sport of gun dogs, whether it be hunting, sport, or competition. We want to build a community of people united to preserve our gun dog heritage and to be better gun dog owners. Tune in to each weekly episode and learn about training, dog health, wellness, and nutrition. We will also offer tips for hunting with dogs and for competition, hunt tests, field trials, and other dog sports that involve gun dogs. Please go to our website, gundognation.com, and subscribe to our email list. We will keep you informed weekly with podcasts that are coming out. We also will be providing newsletters with training tips and health tips for your dog. You can also go to patreon.com/gundognation and become a member. There's different levels of membership on there. Just go check that out. Also, we'd like to thank Sean Brock for providing the music for this show, the introduction and the outro. As Sean Brock, he played everything on there except the banjo by Scott Vestal and the dobro by Jerry Douglas. Sean is a neighbor of mine from over in Harlan, Kentucky. I'm just crossing the mountain in Hyden, Kentucky, and he's a super talented guy. But most of all, I want you guys to check out the Creekers. They are also from Hyden, Kentucky, and this is an up-and-coming bluegrass and country band, and these guys are hot. They're all over TikTok and YouTube. You will hear these guys because in a year or so, they will be on the radio. They are very talented. Their videos are going viral on the net. These boys are family. Two of the lead singers, one grew up with my daughters, and the other one is my cousin's son, so he's family. But check them out. Check out the Creekers. Also, last but not least, if you want to buy a hat, koozie, t-shirt, or even gun dog supplies, go to shopgundognation.com and you can purchase any of those items. Thank you so much for listening. It's a privilege to have people that want to put up with me talking about dogs all the time. I actually enjoy what I do, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity, and thank you. Hello, welcome back. It's Kenneth Witt with the Gun Dog Nation podcast. I'm actually coming to y'all today, not from Texas. I'm in Eagle River, Wisconsin, getting ready to attend grouse camp up here this weekend with the Rough Grouse Society. But anyway, it's a pleasure. I'm getting ready to have a guest on here that's a real honor to have on, especially I know he's busy as heck right now because of what he's getting ready to put on. But let me introduce to you, who probably needs no introduction in the dog world, Mr. Tracy Stubbs with the HRC Grand Committee. How you doing, Tracy?
Good, Ken. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And thank you for taking time. I can imagine right now it's probably a rat race for you.
Yeah, it's getting geared up pretty quick now. It's about 4 or 5 phone calls an hour, it seems like. So.
Now, Tracy, what's your official title at the HRC?
I am the chairman of the HRC International Grand, and that's our national event that we host twice a year. We have a spring grand and a fall grand, and obviously we're getting ready for our fall grand in Luverne, Tennessee.
Now, what does getting ready for that entail? I can't imagine the logistics you guys do.
Well, this is going to be our largest grand ever, Ken. We have 1,050 dogs were entered at the closing of entries. Now we'll lose some of those dogs to heat and injuries and different things, and folks can't make it. But yes. We're expecting 1,000 dogs, and that's a record for us.
Wow. What's the average been in the past, Tracy?
Well, we've been very gracious and thankful that we've been on an upward scale. 12 years ago, we were around 400 dogs at a grand, and then now we're running 1,000. And it's a slow, steady increase, which is good for us. It allows us to grow.
Now, I noticed, and I'm not trying to get controversial by any means, but I know there's some new rules this year affecting the Master National as far as limiting the amount of people, a lot of dogs that they've normally let in there. I don't know all the specifics and don't claim to, but I would think that would up your all's attendance. Do you see that?
Well, we had an increase. We had about a 60 dog increase in our entries. But, like I said, we've been enjoying this slow, steady climb for several years now. The effects at the Master National Club, that's going to affect their Master National next year. So, it's kind of unpredictable at this time. So.
Okay, got you. I'm glad you pointed that out for me. So, Tracy, let's just dig right down into it. Educate me and the listeners about the HRC, what it is, what it stands for, and what your goals are.
Okay, the HRC stands for the Hunting Retriever Club, and it's a retriever performance event, and it's open to retrievers and versatile gun dogs. that are recognized by the United Kennel Club. The United Kennel Club is our sanctioning breed registry that recognizes our titles. It does our litter registrations and all that. So to earn HRC titles, you have to be a permanently registered dog with United Kennel Club.
Okay. And a little bit of the history of the HRC. How did it come about?
Well, it was a vision and a dream of a man named Omar Driscoll down in Ruston, Louisiana area. In Lake Village, Arkansas is where Omar lives now. And he was a field trialer, white coat field trialer, and was looking, I guess, for lack of better terms, wasn't satisfied with that, and was looking for something that was more related to a duck hunter. And, field trials are incredible. Those dogs do things that it's just unmatchable what they can do. And the handlers and the trainers, kudos to them. But it doesn't represent what we're doing in the duck world. And then there's all kinds of venues. I'm a proponent of all of them. Anytime that you have a better trained dog and can improve bloodlines and the breeds and all that, I'm for it. So I'm not against any venue out there. It just HRC is my passion.
I like that. And something, just me being an outsider, Tracy, I do HRC. I'm just really getting into that world, and AKC tests both. The one thing I notice, and I'm not trying to take sides, and I'm not asking you to, but it seems like the HRC, it's more of a family kind of event. They have dinners there, and I really enjoy that. AKC is a good group too, and I go to those. I'm actually an AKC started judge and working on my HRC started. And AKC junior, I always get them mixed up. But I really like that about the HRC. It's a very family oriented, community oriented organization.
It is, and I think that's what draws me a lot. And I've had good relationships with all the venues that I've ever been involved with. I run some AKC with my dogs, and the SRS is another great venue. And the field trial, I've always enjoyed good relationships. And but the HRC, that's going back to the roots of it. You got the camouflage. We shoot a gun over it. Now we shoot poppers for the safety factor, but it's duck hunting. We try to keep that realism. There's decoys. It's actual duck hunting distances, and it doesn't take away from anything else. It's just that's what is popular about the HRC.
Now, it's no secret to men and women that are in this sport, but the Grand, I've been told, I've never competed in the Grand. That's my goal. I mentioned that to you yesterday via text, but the Grand is by far the hardest hunt test to achieve. Would that be safe to say?
In the hunt test programs, I'm very partial to the Grand and HRC. So, my opinion is a bit biased, but it is hard. And the reason is because of the scoring system that was developed long before my tenure as chairman by some folks that had some great forethought. It is the national event and the national title of our organization. It's the pinnacle. And that includes the Hall of Fame now. Okay. Because you have to be a grand champion to be in the Hall of Fame. But we have a scoring system. That's what it differs from the weekend event, is it has a scoring system that once you're scored down to a marginal score, you can't gain that ground back. So, you just skate by then. You have to be perfect from that point forward. And I think that's what separates us out and gives us that more competitive edge. And when you have a grand champion, and especially a Hall of Fame grand champion, that's an incredible animal.
I think that when I ask people, Tracy, when you're looking for a pup and you want like just the best bred pup that's also a hunting companion, so many pros tell me, look one that not just has a couple grand passes, but several grand passes, because that's right. Not easy to achieve.
That's not easy. And there's a lot of great dogs out there that have never passed the Grand. I have one of those myself that's been to that 5th series several times. And, it's that competitive edge, that he's a great dog, the best dog I've ever had. And I am grateful for him, but he just can't hold it together long enough, but it just drives you for the next one.
What, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy. I've been told, I guess, I'm not sure who told me, but the pass rate on average for the Grand is around 23%. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the historical pass rate is right around that 20 to 25% average, okay. And very cyclic with the dogs, times of the year. There's a lot of factors. There's been a lot of spreadsheets to try to quantify, what that percentage builds, but it's really about what dogs, what conditions, how the sun was. There's so many uncontrollable factors in there. It's not fair to try to quantify it. So.
And just for everybody else, I think I know the answer to this question, but how many passes, what does it take to make a Hall of Fame dog in the HRC?
Okay, well, let's go back to what it takes to get qualified for the Grand. Is you have to be permanently registered with the UKC, you have to be a member of the Hunting Retriever Club, and then your dog has to be a Hunting Retriever champion, meaning at the local events, it's pass finished and earned the Hunting Retriever champion title. Once you receive that title, you are automatically qualified for the Grand.
Okay.
To run the Grand, it's the 5 series, 2 water series, 2 land series, and then an upland series. To get the title, it's 2 Grand passes and a total of 300 championship points from the local level and Grand passes. And then to be a Hall of Fame dog, it's 1,000 points, championship points, and 4 Grand passes.
Hello, this is Kenneth Witt with Gundog Nation. Many people quickly become frustrated and confused when training a retriever. Cornerstone Gundog Academy's online courses eliminate all the guesswork by giving you a proven training system that will help you train a dog that anyone will be proud to have in their blind. Learn where to start, what to do next, and what to do when problems arise. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to learn how you can train your retriever. I have used this method myself. I have been through it a couple times with different dogs. I refer back to it lots of times when I'm trying to get dogs freshened back up for hunt test season. I highly recommend them. I have actually been a subscribed member of Cornerstone Gundog Academy since 2016, and I would suggest anyone use it. I highly recommend it. They have an app that you can get to on your phone. You can do it from your phone, your laptop. You can't get any more convenient than that. I've used it. It's proven and tried. And I know literally hundreds of people that have done the same thing that I've talked to. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com and learn how to train your own retriever. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt, and Gundog Nation is proud to have one of their sponsors as Retriever Training Supply, based in Alabama. Retriever Training Supply offers fast shipping on quality gear. Your dog will love it. Visit retrievertrainingsupply.com to purchase gear to help you train your retriever. Listen, they have some of the best leashes I've ever found. It's stuff's made in America. Their leashes are, and they source them locally. They have anything you want, fast, friendly service, fast shipping, just good people. Retriever Training Supply. I forgot that upland series portion.
Yes, sir. That's a lot of fun and a lot of anguish, all in about 15 seconds. So.
Man, yes. Is that one of the things? What do you see that's the most challenging of the Grand competition?
I think the most challenging is the consistency. These dogs come in here and they are trained as hard as they can be trained, building up to it. And you get here to the Grand and they can make one minor mistake. And so they've got to be consistent. They've got to be a good marker. They've got to be a good blind runner. If you've got a dog that can't get through a weekend event at 2 tests and has to handle both days, that's not a Grand dog, because he's not going to get you out of the second series. If you run, we should always look at our blinds and say, am I running really tight, challenging blinds and challenging that line and challenging that bird? If you think you're sloppy or they're like, you're not feeling super confident, then that's that consistency you're lacking at the Grand level.
Okay. Now, Tracy, what would you look for? Just your personal view, if you're looking for a pup bred that your goal is to take a pup all the way to the Grand, which is what I'm doing. What do you look for?
Well, it's in the breedings. If you want to run the Grand, then you want a Grand titled parents in your puppy. As much as you can get in that breeding, you want those HRCs in there. And because that's telling you that that type of dog can be consistent at the Grand level of training. Okay. And usually they're pretty successful at everything else too. So that's and it'll show over because they'll carry all those titles, and that super competitive dog is going to be good at all these venues that we run. But I personally want as much grand titles as I can see in that dog. If it's amateur titles, that is a big bonus, because that's a dog that's been trained by an amateur and not put in a pros regiment. We have some really great pros in HRC that can consistently build. They have high pass rates. They build a lot of great dogs because they have great programs.
Yes.
And so, you mix that in there with some amateur built dogs, and that's what you're looking for. And I know we're getting around the circle to hear what you just picked up this week. And that's exactly where we're at. You have a long history on both sides of the dogs. And, Chris Rudd's done a great job with Winter, and she's been out and been super consistent at an amateur level. So, and then Stroker being the sound, I'm going to spill all your beans and steal all your thunder. But, Stroker's thrown great puppies in the past, and this is a repeat breeding, and those dogs are doing good. So that's what I look for. And then fundamentally, you need to have a genetically sound dog, good hips, good elbows. With all of our genetic testing we do now, EIC and CNM, PRA, everything that's on that panel, you need to be as clear as you can of those. So that's the basis of the whole program, is building those performance dogs with better genetics.
Tracy, you just taught me something, and I never really thought that far through, but picking an amateur title dog in the Grand, I never thought that, but yeah, that I could see how that is even more challenge.
Sure, because that amateur doesn't have 30, 40 bullets in his kennel that he's training every day that becomes that expert at interpreting dogs and reading dogs. Most amateurs have one or two, maybe three at the most dogs. And so they don't gain that experience as fast. And there's some great amateurs. Don't let me lead you astray. There's some amateurs that could compete with any of the pros in our program. And at the Grand level, I would say all of our amateurs can compete at that level. They are, they just don't bring as many bullets.
Yes. And I hear that on this podcast a lot, Tracy. I hear a lot of people like Rody Best and talk about how, for example, the SRS series, how the amateur competition is really tough now.
That's right.
And I'm sure the Grand's that way too. Is it to me, my outsider looking in at the Grand competition, since I've never gotten to that level by a long shot, it seems that to me that obedience is a pure must in that competition. Would you elaborate on that?
And, your finished level dog at the local event, that's a dog that's a really, really good hunting dog. He's going to go just anywhere in the country and pick up the majority of real birds without any issue. The Grand dog is the dog that will go anywhere with style and precision. And that's what he's going to get you invited back when you're not such a good guy. Your dog's always going to get you invited. That's what I get the pinnacle of the Grand dog. And there's some fallacies out there that the dog has to be perfect and walk in cadence and all that. That's not it. It's a dog that is going with the handler, that sits obediently and quietly at the line and watches and wants to be engaged to the hunt and to retrieve birds and work with the handler. That's a Grand champion, and that's with precision and style. That you're not screaming and yelling at that dog. We've all been out there on them hunting areas, and everybody's screaming for the dog before daylight. Where's my dog? And all that. That ain't a Grand champion. A Grand champion's a dog that's right there in the boat, ready to go hunt.
Now, Tracy, I assume I know a little bit of your background, and we've talked about that offline, but I would assume you have a lot of experience judging and competing. Tell us about your experience.
Sure. I got started back around 2000 with, I was a duck hunter and got bitten. I grew up hunting deer and hogs and turkeys in Florida. And when I got old enough to travel on my own, we started hunting ducks and getting out. And I'll tell you where I got started. We were deer hunting up in Georgia, and we went to the Georgia Buckarama in Perry, Georgia there. It's a big deer show. Old South Hunting Retriever Club was there putting on a demonstration, and a very good friend of mine, Marcus Bice, was there. And what I saw him do with his dogs, I turned to my girlfriend at the time, but she's now my wife, and I said, I have got to have one of those. And probably spent enough money to buy a pretty good house and nice vehicles and all that to get there. But, I keep a pretty good duck dog. And once you're bitten by it, it's there. But when I've trained them, um, from puppies from 7 weeks old, the first puppy that I trained as a competitive dog was given to me, and he was very well bred and was a really good dog. He was a lot. I wish I would have known what I know now when I had that puppy, because he was an incredible dog. And but he was given to me. And
Wow.
just enjoy the guys, like, you've got this dog that you bought that was trained, but here's a puppy, and enjoy the journey. Find yourself an HRC club and go and do it. And that's kind of what led me there, as a man named Alden Little out of Birmingham, Alabama. Okay. And he sent me on there. So that's 25 years ago now almost, and got involved with my local club in Central Florida, the Central Florida Hunting Retriever Club. And the members there, going back to what you talked about, the family, just welcomed me in. The president at that time, Carl Knock, I called him and talked to him on the phone for an hour like we were old friends. And he was a retired colonel, worked for Martin Marietta after his service, and just a great guy. And I remember pulling in at the property owner's land, and I pulled through the gate. And when I opened my door to get out, Carl was standing there and shaking my hand, and like we'd been friends for 100 years. And just everybody there, the landowner, main guy, and just going back, it gets me a little choked up thinking about him.
Yeah. Now, so Tracy, where is the Central Florida Club located?
Montverde, Florida. That's on the northwest side of Orlando, up towards between Claremont and Orlando.
Well, here's a question I've always wondered about you guys. You know that I've spent a lot of my early years, my childhood and everything down in where you grew up. How do y'all train dogs with gators everywhere? I mean, how do you?
Very carefully.
Okay.
You don't go to places that you don't know what's going on there. And, you spotlight them at night, stay away from deep water, those things. And you learn. I mean, we grew up around gators, and it's no different in Florida as it is all across the Gulf Coast, all the way to Texas. Gators are everywhere. You just got to be smart about them. And, when they're super active, you don't go around them, and just be careful. And knock on wood, I've been really lucky to never even have a near incident, but I'm pretty paranoid about it. So.
Yeah. That's I've always wondered what you do down there. Interesting. So you guys, I guess your retriever club had a training grounds.
Yes, sir. And it very well managed there. And it took out nuisance gators if we needed to, and those kinds of things. And that area didn't have a lot of gators on it, so but the property owner took care of it. So
yes, nice. So now I know to get in your position at your level, you've probably judged a whole lot, haven't you? Hello, this is Kenneth Witt with Gundog Nation, and I've got to tell you guys about something that I've gotten hooked on lately. It's Faux-licious. These are gourmet instant pho and ramen bowls that actually taste like the real deal. When I'm out in the field all day and the last thing I want is to settle for bland camp food, Faux-licious is what I go to. It's authentic, the flavor, it's real ingredients, it's ready in just minutes. It's perfect for hunters, fishermen, or anyone on the go. And you can get them over 1,900 Walmarts nationwide, your local HEB here in Texas. Or you can just go online at fauxlicious.com. Trust me, once you try it, you'll keep a few stocked in your bag, in your backpack, or for your next adventure. I just want to say this, I want to add this to this commercial, because I know the owners of this company. They've hunted on my ranch. Joseph, he and I were actually met in Colorado on a hunting trip that was a real adventure. They are true hunters. They've hunted at the ranch, and I've hunted with them. And Anna, she is just amazing. She is the one that came up with this idea. They were both on Shark Tank. They are amazing people. So I love seeing people like this have a business. And I just had to say that in addition to the commercial, because I really believe in the product and I believe in the people that made the product. Be sure and go to fauxlicious.com or go to Walmart or HEB and try their product. I promise you will like it.
Yeah, I don't even know how many assignments I've had. I started judging in about 2001, and it's like when you get into the dog world and you train your dog and then you start judging, and then all of a sudden your dog's sitting in the truck while you're judging, but somebody's got to do it. And it's taken me a lot of places that I would have never been able to go through my judging assignments, and met people that are some of my closest friends and just family to me, and I got involved at the national level. Some guys felt that I could help out there, and I got involved there as a field rep for UKC at the national level, and then I'm trying to think now. About 2011, I became president of HRC, and I served 2 terms there, and then after that, the grand chairman, Mr. Ernie East, who is a legend. Um, he had passed away, and I was honored to be asked to become the grand chairman. I was helping on the committee, and I got asked to be the chairman. And we had some plans that we wanted to do and move forward with the event and grow it. And I have been blessed with the support of all the executive committees after that, and then the committee personnel that are on there. They're tireless workers. I don't know how they tolerate me, and because if I call and ask, they take care of it.
Wow.
And and it started out with about 10 of us, and on the whole committee. And as we've grown, I think we're up to around 65 or 70 people that travel to every event. And when they can't make it's a big deal for them. They're upset, and they feel like they're missing out. But it's the most passionate group of people that I've ever been involved with. And I grew up as a career in the fire department, and you think those are passionate guys. The retriever guys are next level, because it might be a doctor, a neurosurgeon beside you, to a housewife, that's got some of the best dogs in the world. So it's a broad spectrum of people, and that's what I really, really enjoy. So.
You're right. I've been up here, in Montana, North and South Dakota, and now Wisconsin grouse hunting for 2 weeks, and it's such a small world. I was hunting in Montana. I'm from Hyden, Kentucky, and ran into some guys from London, Kentucky, which is where my mom lives, 40 miles away.
Sure.
I won't touch on this just because HRC is such a huge community-based organization. Tracy, as best you can, try to explain to the outside world. You and I are in the dog world. You're at a much higher level than me, but what it's like to be in this community. I mean, just like you came in with no knowledge. 25 years ago, roughly, you didn't know a soul. You saw a dog. And I hear stories like that over and over, but let people know what it's like and how inviting the community is.
It's the dogs are the center of the focus, and it starts out with that little started dog, or somebody makes a phone call and says, "Man, I got this puppy, and I want to do something with him. I've hunted doves," and a lot of times it's folks that don't even hunt, but they want to be involved in it because of they see now a social media post with the dog's training. Social media, we all have our opinions of it, but it's been great for the dog world. Yes. And it brings people together, and they see that. And you got to make sure when those folks come in that are not hunters, that you incorporate them in. This is what this dog is bred to do. It's what we're training and enhancing their natural abilities is to go hunting. And with the retriever, you can waterfowl hunt, you can dove hunt. You can then turn around and go and upland hunt the dogs, and just do whatever you want to do. There's labs now that are the American Pointing Lab Association, which is a great organization that are developing traits in dogs that point. And there's a dog that can do it all. So it's really incredible. But it's that meeting that person, that phone call to that club president or that club member, and showing up at a training day or a club event, and someone meeting you and hooking you. And when they do, it's like, this is my family now. You've got them from coast to coast, from Alaska to Key West, Florida. They're everywhere. I was in Maine this summer, and it's one of my favorite regions to go up there. And I have friendships now that are 20 years old that have been up there, and that's what it means to me. And when you get involved at the level that I've been graced with, that's what keeps you going. Is those folks, and just the Grand Committee members, the HRC members, the club members. It's just all walks of life, and it's a lifestyle and an addiction.
Yes.
Incredible.
I definitely can relate to what you just said, and I appreciate you telling that because my goal here, Tracy, is it's simple. I want to unite people together that want to watch a well trained dog do what it's bred to do, and I have
Sure.
coonhound people on here. I'm hoping to
Absolutely.
get somebody out of your neck of the woods to talk about ranch dogs in Florida, which do everything. I just love to see a dog work, and I've been that way my
That's
whole
right.
life.
Yeah, a well-trained dog, I don't care what breed it is an incredible animal. There's a fellow that used to run in the East Coast over here, Johnny Cohane. He was down and didn't have a good retriever. Well, we force-fetched his beagle and hunted doves with her, and she liked to retrieve. That's the incredible stuff that the dog community is. And as my background now here, I've semi-retired and we've moved here to Alabama. And I have a quail hunting preserve, and we do some deer hunt guiding. But I've gotten into the bird dogs. Where I live here is the bird dog capital of the state of Alabama here in Union Springs. The Hall of Fame statues in the middle of town, and some of the greatest legends, plantations are here, horseback trials. And so it's really incredible learning all of that and getting involved with those types of dogs. And now they have a kennel full of those. So.
No, Tracy. What part of the state is that in Alabama? What
It's
region?
southeast Alabama, so it's southeast of Montgomery, about 30 miles, 40 miles. So.
Well, I just bought a property from Ralph Langley in Houston County, southeast of Dothan, or actually east of Dothan.
Yeah, Dothan's about an hour and 45 minutes south of us. So if you come up 231 and keep coming north, we'll be towards Troy University, the city of Troy and Troy University. That's the area we're in right there.
Okay. Now, I know this is a little off subject, but not too much. Where is it in Alabama that they have the coon dog cemetery?
I don't know that, but I will find out. So.
Yeah, I apparently, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on the state. And I think, matter of fact, I think it's in the movie with Reese Witherspoon, Sweet Home Alabama. I think that's actually a scene in it, but there is a big deal. It's a coon dog cemetery in Alabama, and I think it's way down in the southern part of the state. But interesting. But I didn't realize it was that bird dog heavy there. That's good to know.
Yeah, there's some of the legends in the bird dog industry. El Hugh Kennels and Gunsmoke and Sedgefield Plantation, Conecuh Station. I mean, they're just great places that hold a lot of bird dog field trials.
Okay, and you run hunts there?
Yes. Yeah, we do a put and take here and I use versatiles. I like the German short hairs and the German wire hairs. They work better for us because we have a smaller operation, but this is English pointer and territory. So.
That's I've got a friend. We've become friends. I had him on the podcast, but he's the Landon Poplin. He'll be at the Grand with his.
Sure, yeah, Landon's a good friend of mine. So.
Hopefully to get a title.
Yes, he needs that second pass.
He needs that second pass. He's a great guy. But yes, and I'm I don't discriminate. I in my kennel, I have an English pointer, a Brittany, a Cocker, and Labs. So
there you go.
I've got it bad. Tell me about Trace. Let's talk a little bit about your competing and stuff. What all did you do when you first started training? When did you start trying to title your own dogs? Hey, it's Kenneth Whip, the Gun Dog Nation podcast, and I'm very proud to have as a new sponsor Cable Gangs. That's spelled Gangz. Brendan Landry at Cable Gangs has developed, in my opinion, and I'm a customer, the best tie-out systems on the market. They're easy to pack, easy to store. They can coil up just like an extension cord. They use premium galvanized steel cable coated with durable UV-resistant PVC coating. Brandon can make custom products, anything you want that's related to a dog tie-out system or a cable system or a way to safely secure your dog. They've even made a system that works with a bicycle so you can go and exercise your bicycles and have your dog running along with you. It would be impossible for me to describe to you all the different custom applications they have, so just go to their website at cablegangs.com and check it out. They make dog tie-outs, a way to safely secure your dog if you're at a field trial, a hunt test, coonhound competition, whatever that might be. These guys make the best product on the market. Check it out for yourself, cablegangs.com.
I got that pup. I bought a dog for hunting, and that's really I saw Old South and Marcus and them guys, and I found a trainer that had a dog, a well-started dog, and I bought her, and she was trained, and he kind of showed me some things to keep her going, but I felt like I wasn't doing her right. But I hunted that dog like crazy. It was incredible, and I developed some really bad habits with her that did not matter while hunting, because she was going to get every bird that we killed. And, so her name was Jenny. She was a lean Mac daughter, which was as crazy as the history of Evan Starr lean Mac, but I hunted that dog all over. She was that was my dog. And when I got the puppy, I wanted to train him and develop him and start competing. And so I did a lot of stuff on my own, and got, as most amateurs do that don't have a big training group, is I had some holes. And I got involved with a pro trainer up in Alabama here named Brian Ortman at Teal Run Retrievers. He's retired from the dog training, but him and I are best friends. And I took a year off from trying to run dogs and just came and trained with him and some other guys, and just learned how to train.
Yes.
And and some of the friendships that I've developed over the years, there's a lot of weekends I just load up dogs and go to somebody's house and we just train all weekend. But I've built hunting retriever champions and master hunters and those kinds of dogs. I've never had my own grand dog. I've been a lot involved, but I've been that close a lot of times, and that's part of the adventure.
Yeah.
So we just enjoy that whole part of it. So.
Yeah. Hey, that's no easy task. I'm a way off from even being there yet, but that's like every man's got to have goals, right?
That's right.
So Tracy, what all kind of dogs do you have at your household right now, hunting dogs?
In the retriever world, I have just labs. I guess I'm a lab purist, but we do some gun dog training, and I've got actually a Drothair out of Landon's dog in training right now. I have a wire-haired pointing Griffon that I'm doing some training, doing retriever training with, and then we'll do quail training with him after he's done there. But I hunt the German Shorthairs, and I've trained my own dogs there. And then I have two English pointers, and then I have an English setter that is my favorite bird dog of all, but she is a wild child, and I love her to death, and she will hunt all day long. So, and the dog is a couch potato in the house, but when you take her in the field, she'll die. She just goes and goes and goes and goes.
See, I love that. You got it worse than me.
Yeah, we're pretty versatile, but when hunting season rolls around and the preserve gets going, we use a lot of dogs. It sounds like a lot of dogs, but when you're running pretty hard, it doesn't take much to get 2 or 3 dogs that are sore, hurt, or injured, and they're just wore out. They give you so much that you got to rotate them. So we're pretty diversified.
Tracy, I was going to ask you a question. Just kind of been on my mind about all the different organizations that have hunt tests and trials. When you see a dog come from a strict field trial world, if you ever see that, over to the Grand, is that an easy adaptation, or is it just apples and oranges? Different.
I think it's just different. We've had several dogs now that are FCs and Grand Champions. It's not an easy feat because it's different training techniques.
Yes,
I think it's difficult for the Grand dog to step up to the more challenging marks that are at the distance and the white coats, because they're used to seeing hidden guns. At the Grand, you'll never see a winger station. The ducks will just come out of the bushes. And, when you go back to the field trial, you're marking off white coats and different things like that. And I think that's a tougher transition. But on the other hand is bringing that field champion and getting them to check down on these under 200-yard marks when they run these 500, 600-yard marks. It's a challenge. It's not easy. It's not automatic.
But are you saying it? And I'm not aware for sure, but it has happened, I guess, right? There are.
Yes, I think we have 4 now that are FC, AFC, and Grand Champions.
Oh wow!
So it's not an easy feat.
It can't be. I mean, that's a very low number considering the numbers of dogs competing today. Yeah,
when you're talking, there's close to I want to say about 1,800 Grand Champions now in the history of HRC. And how many field champions have you had that you've only got about 4 that are both.
That's amazing. So back to the Grand, the one that's in Nashville this year, and it's killing my soul, Tracy. I go every year opening day in South Dakota and pheasant hunt with the Scott Neighbor Pheasant Ranches there, and it's the same weekend as the Grand. And I'm so torn because of the podcast and my love, and I've never been to the Grand. I want to go so bad, but I just it's not going to work this year. Because this podcast will hopefully reach people that may or may not have been wanting to go and just watch. What can we expect this year in Nashville? It's outside of Nashville, correct?
Yeah, it's in Luverns, Tennessee, at the Pool Knob WMA there, and Piercy WMA in Luverns. Okay. So it's a grounds that are maintained for dog events and a lot of retriever events. There's several clubs that use it for their local events, and this will be our second time there as a Grand. It's hosted by Music City HRC. And so they're the local host there. We're looking forward to, this is going to be our largest Grand ever, and we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of work to get it all done, but the grounds are incredible. Tennessee Wildlife does a great job there. They've become a great partner in anything that they can do to roll out the red carpet for us. They're accommodating. When you call somebody and you say, "Hey, we want to host the Grand," "Oh, what's that? What's that entitled?" And then once they get there and they see what it is and the draw that it is, then the next time they really come, they're all in, and that's really cool to see that develop.
Now, I assume, I should know this, but y'all, it's never in the same location, right? I mean, is it moved different parts of the U.S.?
It usually moves. We usually don't go to a location back to back. It's just too much on the local club, and it's rough on the grounds. You don't want to beat the grounds up and wear your welcome out. But we have some great places with the Western Kentucky WMA and Tim Creer there. They're hosting in the spring, just outside of Paducah. Another incredible state facility. We go to Bush Wildlife in St. Louis, which is another great facility. We're going back there next fall, and then we have some other opportunities that are coming up. I don't want to give the spoiler alert out there, but we have some other opportunities that rotate it around.
Okay.
We try to keep it in the core of the program along the Mississippi Central Flyways, here East Coast, because that's where the core of our program is, and that hurts our West Coast presence. But we have some diehards out there, from Washington and Oregon, and that participate in the Grand. And I really appreciate those HRC members that strive to come in here and achieve this title. But we try to stay here in the main corridor of the program, up and down the Mississippi River. So.
Okay. What does it take logistically to set that up? I mean, I assume you have volunteers, you have UKC members, HRC members. What does it take to set this up?
It's all HRC. UKC, they're the sanctioning event, and they send a representative. But we govern our own rules and set up our own tests and all that. They're supportive as the breed registry. But it's all HRC that does it. We like to have a host club, and that'll be like this going to the fall is Music City. In the spring, it'll be Western Kentucky, HRC. And this past spring, we were up at the Whistle, up at the Bong Recreational Area in Wisconsin. So it's a local club, and they'll have a core group of volunteers that help do all the pre-work going in, prepping sites and areas, and their expertise knowledge of the local area. And, so we'll work as a national committee with them hand in hand and, building it up to getting there. Our sponsors are another big issue with all of we have all 11 sites are sold as Grand sponsors going into this event, which is incredible for us. We are so thankful for the national sponsors that we have. And, we're looking forward to all that.
Yes.
And then we show up about 4 or 5 days ahead of the event, and we come in as a kind of scaling up. There'll be 4 or 5 of us come in on 5 days out and keep adding to it. And then 2 days, 3 days out is when the judges and the balance of the crew shows up. and we start divvying up equipment and assigning us sites. And then we do a seminar. The judges don't know who they're judging with. We keep that a secret till the very last minute and where they're going. And so we give them a seminar to bring them in the grand standard, the consistency, because the grand has its own rules and that are sanctioned, that HRC board of directors have developed. So our rules are separate than the weekend event. And so we give them a seminar to bring them up to speed for consistency. A lot of them, it's their first time, and some of them, it's a good refresher. But and then we take them into the field and give them their assignments and where they're going to be and who they're going to be with, and then let them build their test.
Okay.
So that's a two-day deal, and then we approve it as the hunt committee, as the grand committee. We approve the test. We challenge them on why they're doing marks the way they are, why the placement of their blind, where their judging begins and ends, and what they're looking for. It's not just you do whatever you want. We want consistency throughout the event and throughout the history of the Grand, and that's our strong point.
Hey, it's Kenneth Witt with the Gun Dog Nation podcast, and we are so proud to be partnered with the National Shoot to Retrieve Association, also known as NASTRA. NASTRA has a common love for producing the best bird dogs possible. It's a great community that builds and bonds everlasting friendships. I've actually got to meet a lot of the NASTRA members who's taken me hunting and some other grouse hunting and stuff in different places. So I can honestly say I'm a member, and I'm proud to be partnered with them. NASTRA hosts national and regional field trials that emphasize the working ability of bird dogs. They have been around for over 50 years. There's a reason that NASTRA has been around that long. Please check them out at www.nstra.org and belong and support your local NASTRA club. They do have national and regional events, and it's a good place to help learn to be a better dog trainer, a better dog owner, and to compete with your bird dog. Thank you. So each judge sets up a series, but the committee has to bless it, I guess. Is that
correct? And that's the same. That's a carryover from a local HRC event. Is every local club has a committee, the hunt committee, that approves the test. Make sure it's safe. Number one, that you're not going to get dogs hurt or people hurt. Two, it has the philosophy of HRC in it, and there's some logistical planning to make it happen. We can't have. At the Grand, we're on a time crunch because we're a 5-day event. So barring a natural disaster or something going on, we're going to be gone in 5 days once it starts. So, there's a time crunch on that. You challenge the judges to build a Grand level test in that time crunch. Because, you can't be up there for 20 minutes. You got to be up there for about 7 minutes or we can't finish.
Okay. And I guess in the event of, you talked about national, in an event of weather, like severe weather conditions and stuff, does that postpone it sometimes? Does that happen in the past?
Sure. We've had days where we've not been able to do anything because of severe weather, thunderstorms all day, because we're not going to get anybody hurt over it. This is a dog event. Yes. And, so it's extended in a day or a day and a half. And, we can catch up pretty quickly once we get rolling. The site coordinators that travel from Grand to Grand work so well with the local people. And the logistics of how most of the time we rebird the event and feed our help and get them rotated out to the bathrooms and, all that. And nobody knows it. It never stops. And that's the expertise of the site coordinators. That's an incredible group of people that go Grand to Grand and do that.
Man, that's amazing. I wouldn't want that job. You guys got your hands full.
Yeah, they're there at 5 o'clock in the morning, long before daylight, and getting stuff set up and electronics and, birds out. And then when the help shows up and, you start the test at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and they work until we call it quits. And that first 2 days, it's dark. We got to run every dog every minute.
Tracy, I know that the Grand being, the top of the HRC title system. What do you all look for? What's the criteria to be a judge there? I would think it would need to be a very experienced handler, trainer, whatever that might be. What's the requirements?
In all steps, Ken, as you know, becoming a judge is you have to have owned and trained a dog at the level that you're judging. That's hard to do at the Grand. So we pull our judges from the finished level judges. And there is times that we have judges there, and probably a majority of the time that have never run the Grand or never had a Grand dog, but they're good judges. their reputations, that they're consistent in their judging. They have good setups, and we're always out networking and basically investigating judges when we hear them. And we also want a judge that's personable. If you're not happy to be at that assignment, we don't want you there, because this is a national event. There is enough tension without a judge not being comfortable and not forthcoming and personable. And that's a big point to me, it just, as long as we set that tone, it's a great event, and everybody's got to remember that everybody that's working is a volunteer. There's nobody getting paid at any of these events. This is the volunteer for the betterment of the organization and the betterment of these great dogs.
Yes.
And we look for those type judges, and we bring them in, and when we bring in a judge that's never judged the Grand, they're paired with someone that has. Okay. We get them the seminar, and I think what we differ from other venues is that we have a Grand Committee person that is assigned to every site. And they're not there to tell those judges how to judge. Those judges have earned the right to be there, and they've proved that they're good judges. But we're there to help them be consistent from dog number 1 to dog number 500 that they judge, because they're going to judge 4 flights of dogs. And so if it was okay on day 1, it's okay on day 4, because the tendency of the judge, because it's an elimination event, is to get harder in the judging, because the dogs are getting better. My predecessor, Ernie, used to say, he was a very strong Cajun accent, and he had always said, "The cream rises to the top." And then what he meant is the grand champions, every series are getting more and more visible. Series 1, Series 2, we're kind of sorting out the dogs that shouldn't be there and aren't proving that consistency. Series 3, you're starting to look at the grand champions. And, those dogs don't make a mistake. And it's very easy for a judge to go, I've been scoring all these 0s and 1s, 1 and 2, and then now I've got nothing but 2s. Well, the reason is because the dogs are better. You've eliminated the dogs that aren't grand champions. And it's a test standard, not a trial where we're pitting dog against dog. There's a standard. We set a standard on the first dog. And now it's got to be consistent as close as we can make it on every other dog throughout the other 4 retriever series. And now when we go to the upland, everybody's back to 0 or 2s. We like to say 2s because you start out with a perfect score and work backwards. But once you clear the 4th series and you have enough points and you've made it to the 5th, everybody's even again, and then you go on to the upland standards.
Okay. So I'm wanting to watch this so bad. I may have to do some kind of rearranging. So it just fascinates me to see dogs at that level. I've watched some of those dogs. I've been with pro trainers and watched them train, but it's something.
Sure.
What's you may or not know this. I didn't expect you to keep all this data in your head. What's the youngest dog that you're aware of, Tracy, that's achieved the grand
just
pass?
Under 2 years old. I think it's right at 23 months. Wow. And don't ask me who it is because it's going to be either Winter or it's. But I think she got surpassed. That's a good trivia question for me to find out and get back with you later.
Yeah. And I wasn't loading that question for you. I forgot that Winter was a young.
Yeah, Winter was an incredible young dog, and her consistency came out early. So
I've got. Matter of fact, her puppy sat beside me here and asleep. And I wasn't asking that to boost Winter up no more than she already needs to be. But that's interesting. Right. So I know you're under a time crunch, and I'm a talker. I keep you on here all day long. Is there anything that you would like to get out to the listeners about the HRC or the Grand, or anything upcoming news that you want to talk about?
I just in general is get out there with your dog and find an HRC club or find a retriever group if you don't have an HRC club and get out there and do something with your dogs. These dogs are incredible. They become a part of your life and it becomes a passion, and enjoy it. I would have probably had a lot more money in my life if I wasn't involved with these dogs. But boy, I wouldn't trade it for all the money in the world, because it's just the friends that you develop and the dogs that you develop. And, you start that puppy up. One of my best friends who has a litter mate to my dog, his dog is a Grand Champion Hall of Fame dog and mine is not. And, but they're both great dogs, and we have hunted them all over the country. together. He's a very dear friend of mine, Danny Sanders, and we talk about it. And when we got these dogs, Danny did the breeding, and he had a really nice female, and he's like, I want to breed her to a yellow dog. What do you think? And I said, well, look, I've been involved with the Grand here, and this is the dog that I've seen. There's a dog named Hammer and Hank out of Mississippi, and I said, this is the dog we want. I asked Danny, I said, what do you want? And he said, I want Grand Champions. He's a pro trainer and runs the Grand and all. He says, I want Grand Champions. I said, then we need to breed to this dog, because I've judged his pups and judged this dog and seen the consistency that is developing. And we did. And there's 1,000 other great Hammer and Hank breedings out there. But that's going back to what do you look for and what do you want? And yes. But long story short, Danny and I were talking. I was over a couple of weeks ago and we were training, and both of us have got these gray beard old dogs, and they're 11 years old this April, and it's like, man, they're still running, they're still strong. Mine acts like he's a 2-year-old, and it's like, man, it's almost over with him. I'm like, man, I don't want to talk about this. This is it. And then you got a puppy coming. You just look for the next generation to say, these are the things that I saw out of these dogs, and I want this out of my puppy, and let's go from here. So you just enjoy that and learn that. Going back to the listeners out there, is learn that, get involved with that aspect. Don't just go out there and get, I got the highest title bred dog. That may not be the dog for you. Go get in that group. Ask some folks what's going on. Look for the success of the amateur. The amateur will show you the success, because he doesn't know all the tricks that the pros do. And I say that's not a negative comment. That pro knows how to get everything out of that dog.
That's right.
The amateur doesn't. We're learning, and we learn every day. And so you go out there and look at what dogs the amateurs are running in the lines and study it. Don't make a rapid decision. Make an educated decision. And then go back and talk to the pros and say, this is what I want. These guys are great. They're a big asset to our organization and to dog trainers in general. And I don't know one of them that if you don't pick up the phone and call them, they're going to answer you and they're going to help you every way they can. And if they don't, call me and I'll call them and get on them. So, they're just a great group of people. So.
One thing I want to pick your brain about before I let you go, Tracy, is, I've just got to apprentice judge a little bit and stuff, but I've talked to judges that were helping me, and you've judged a lot. Judges tell me that they learn so much sitting in that judge's seat. So you, with all your experiences sitting in that seat, what traits do you say or advice do you give that makes the best handler? Purina Pro Plan. Here at Gundog Nation, we use Purina Pro Plan for our dogs. We actually use the Sport Performance Edition, which is 30% protein and 20% fat, the beef and bison. It contains glucosamine, omega-3s for their joints. It also contains amino acids for muscles and antioxidants. And it also has probiotics. It's guaranteed to have live probiotics in each serving. There's no artificial colors or flavors. We see the difference in our dogs. We see the difference in their coat, their performance, their endurance, and also in recovery. Be sure to use Purina Pro Plan dog food. The reputation speaks for itself. There's a reason that Purina has been around for such a long time. We suggest that you use it, and we are so proud to be sponsored by Purina Dog Food. When you're getting ready to go on your next hunting trip, make sure you pack the most efficient and reliable ammunition on the market. Migra Ammunition brings you the most diverse loads on the market. Migra's patented stacked load technology is the epitome of efficiency. 2 shot sizes stacked together to create the most diverse and efficient line of shot shells in the industry. It doesn't matter what flyway, what state, or what the weather, the standard remains the same. At Migra, reliable loads that perform in any condition every single time. We're proud to have Migra Ammunition as a sponsor for Gundog Nation.
Slow down and enjoy the ride. And run the dog when the dog is ready. Don't run human beings have the biggest egos in the world. And we want to have that youngest dog, and we want to do this. And, I want to be the first out of the litter or the first out of my group to do this. Run the dog when it's solid and ready. Spend the extra time that you're going to run those events training. Get in a training group. Call these guys up. Call these superstars up and say, hey, man, can I come and train with you a day? Or look for that amateur group and get involved in that. But slow down and enjoy the ride. It's a dog, and it's part of your life, and enjoy every minute because it's that 10-year time frame. And you think, 10 years is a long time. It is a blink of an eye.
Amen.
And this is about my fourth generation of dogs that and that sound in 20 years because they age out. And I've still got several of the older ones around here laying on the couch. But there's only a certain amount of time they can be competitive and active, and that's a very, very short window.
Yes, it is. Yes. No, that's great advice. I like that because I'm a guy. I'm in the military. I've practiced law. I'm a pretty confident person, and it's real hard to get me rattled. But I've got up at the line and been a nervous wreck so bad that an AKC judge, a lady, got me off the side and told me to breathe. And she was exactly right. And I thought, I'm too tough. I ain't going to get nervous, but yes, you will. And it was at a started level.
In my position, I get to deal with the top trainers and handlers in the country.
Yeah.
And the one that tells you he's not nervous, he's lying to you.
Yeah.
They're as terrified as all the rest of us. They're just able to keep calmer and cooler and collector. They know how to handle it. But we talk about it. It's 18 hours of boredom at the Grand for 5 minutes of sheer terror and excitement. And that's the adrenaline rush of it and the competitiveness that keeps everybody going.
On that note, Tracy, how many dogs is one trainer, handler allowed to compete with at the Grand?
At the Grand, it's unlimited.
Oh, wow.
They can bring as many dogs as that are HRC qualified.
What's the most you've ever seen a handler enter?
34.
Oh, my God.
Yes. How
in the world?
He brought a team to help him, and he was exhausted at the end of it. So
I can't.
We have several handlers that have in the high 20s, 28, 29, and 30. I think 30 is the max or the highest that we have at this Grand. But 34 was the highest. So and that's he had a staff with him to take care of the dogs.
Gee, what's the most you recall of one trainer? Most passes at the Grand?
I think 12.
Jeez.
So it's still, just because you bring more doesn't mean your pass rate goes
up. That's right. That's right.
Because there's the mental exhaustion of that. You talk to some of the greatest pros that we have, and they bring those big numbers and they do it, and they're like, man, I'm not doing that again because I'm so mentally exhausted. I made mistakes. Yeah. And that's costing them time and money. So.
Those guys and you and I know a lot of them. Those guys, I mean, they're a different level of people. I don't know how they do that. I'm a nervous wreck. I've tried 2 dogs, tested 2 dogs at a time, and it was exhausting. I can't imagine.
I had a string of 8 dogs that I was trialing with some friends. I was able to go to the trials and they weren't. And I had an 8-hole dog trailer, so we got filled up every weekend, and that was an exhausting weekend with 8. So I can't imagine having 20 plus dogs. It's and kudos to them, and they do a great job of maintaining the health of those dogs. And some of these bigger level pros, they're going to leave the Grand and go straight to pre-training for the Master National. So these dogs are on the road for well over a month. And they're keep them in great condition and keep their spirits up. It's a testament to their ability to train dogs.
Yeah, that's right. Because I was talking to one of our mutual friends that put us together here yesterday, and he has the Grand, the SRS, and the Master National in the same month. That's just amazing to me.
Yep, and then you'll roll off the right after that into the National Open. So yeah. I don't know how many of our guys compete at all of that, but there's a lot of retriever national events goes on in the next 8 weeks. So
yeah. Oh man,
it's an exciting time. So.
Well, Tracy, it's been a real pleasure. I've learned so much with you. I do this podcast because I like to learn from people, but you have educated me greatly here. In closing, is there anything else, any websites that you want to give out, any information that you'd like to give out to the listeners?
Sure. Follow us on our social page, Facebook, social media, and Instagram pages for the Grand. It's the HRC International Grand, and you just pop that in your search bar and it'll pop right up for you. And then any information that you want about the Hunting Retriever Club in general is hrcdogs.com. And you can also go to the United Kennel Club and ukcdogs.com, and there's a link there to bring us all back in there. But get out and enjoy the dogs and enjoy this great country we have.
Thank you, Tracy. It's been a real pleasure, and thank you for taking time at this busy time of year for you and being on here.
Absolutely, Ken. Call me anytime.
All right. Thank you, sir. Hello, this is Kenneth Witt with Gun Dog Nation, and I'd like to encourage all you listeners and viewers on our YouTube channel to check out patreon.com/GunDogNation. For $10 a month, you can become a member of our community, and we'll have access to lots of stuff. Mainly, we'll do a monthly forum, an open forum, where you can ask me anything gun dog related, and we'll learn from each other in the community. Should be a lot of fun each month. We will do that. So check it out, patreon.com/GunDogNation.